ونستغفره ونعوذ بك من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله قال عز وجل في الكتاب المجيد فقلت استغفروا ربكم إنه كان غفارا يرسل السماء عليكم مدرارا ويمددكم بأموال وبنين ويجعل لكم جنات ويجعل لكم أنهارا ما لكم لا ترجون لله وقارا وقال عز وجل سبحانه وتعالى ومن يتق الله يجعل له مخرجا ويرزقه من حيث لا يحتسب ومن يتوكل على الله فهو حسبه إن الله بالغ أمره وقال عز وجل يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. We praise Allah Azza wa Jalla on this day. We seek His forgiveness. We seek His assistance in every matter or every affair. We recognize our shortcomings. And for that reason, and many more, we have come here seeking His guidance, seeking His pleasure, seeking that which is beneficial in this life and in the hereafter. We come here in recognition and to verify it and to repeat it multiple times that there is no one worthy of worship except Allah, and that Muhammad, peace be upon him, the son of Abdullah of Arabia, is his messenger and prophet and servant. Today, inshallah, as we have gathered, I've repeated recited some of the verses from the Quran, specifically from Surah Nuh, where it mentions Prophet Nuh said to his people, I say to you that you should say, or you should seek forgiveness of your Lord, for He is oft merciful, oft forgiving. And if you do that, you shall have abundance, not only in this life, but also in the hereafter. And this is what He tells his nation, His qawm. And then at the end, He asks a question. He says, what is with you? What is wrong with you? That you do not recognize the majesty of your Lord. That you do not recognize the position of your Lord. What is wrong with you? That you're not moved by all the gifts that He has given you, all the blessings that He has given you. And we also recognize, and we also mentioned, as the Prophet ﷺ would teach his community, the Ummah, and he would mention to them, O you who believe, have taqwa of Allah, be God conscious, as you out to have this taqwa in your life, and do not die except as a Muslim, as a believer, meaning living your Islam in your life within you. Today, inshallah, the topic that I have chosen is the holistic approach to life or to Islam. And how, inshallah, not because Islam is vast, and when we look at our responsibilities, whether it's being a husband, being a brother, a son, a father, or a mother, daughter, being a person of this community, giving charity, recognizing that you have to do work, at the office, or any other details, right? The responsibility are many. Education, seeking education, all of these are there in our lives. And we're going to be asked about our lives. And so Prophet ﷺ, he made it easier for us to be able to focus by describing to us when he said 5 pillars of Islam, Bunya al-Islam ala khams, that Islam is based on 5 things. And that is because the Prophet ﷺ wanted us to pay attention that our ibadah, the worship part of sincerity in our worship to Allah, is in these 5 things. These are the 5 major things that we should, understand and practice. And so salah, siyam, zakah, hajj, shahada, these are the 5 pillars as we understand. So I want to talk about these 5 things, of 5 matters of our life, inshallah. As Ramadan is coming, and everybody has a plan, what we're going to cook. So I want you to have a plan, inshallah, for our lives. And setting goals. And it is great that we see Ramadan time people set religious, spiritual goals. People want to fast, obviously. People want to enjoy their night of worship, coming to the masjid. People want to make sure that they read Quran. There's a certain amount of Quran that they want to recite in Arabic or in English translation. They want to seek more of barakah and coming together and inviting friends and family. And these are lofty goals. These are great goals to have. But I want to look at it not just specifically from religious goals, but goals that we have, responsibilities that we have in our lives. And that we owe to not only ourselves, but our families and our Lord, obviously. So the first thing I want to mention, and these are 5 goals that I want you to, inshallah, pay attention to. And then this is just a reminder, ad-deenun nasiha, that religion is only just to give good advice and good counsel. And this is, as is, inshallah, take that as nasiha, inshallah. So the 5 things I want to talk about is our responsibility in terms of finance. Money matters, where we are. Our responsibility in terms of our relationships. Family first, where is that? Our responsibility in terms of our education. What are we learning and where are we going with that education? Our responsibility in terms of our spirituality. How are we growing as individuals and getting closer to Allah? Or are we simply doing things as ritualistic things that people before us did it and so we do it every year and then time passes and we're done with that time? Or is there more to it that we seek? And last one, inshallah, is our health. How is our response? How are we taking our health, this blessing that Allah has given us, as a responsibility? That we are going to be questioned about it. When the Prophet ﷺ talked about 5, he says that you should take advantage of, he talked about health before sickness afflicts you. And he also talked about youth before you get old and you're not able to perform at a certain level. So these are responsibilities that we have, inshallah. So the first one I want to start with, and this is the financial, money matters, right? It's a talk that is very difficult. But it's easy if you look at it in terms of pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The goal is always to please Allah. And many people neglect their financial responsibilities and they think that is by doing that is being religious, by seeking Allah's favor upon themselves. By simply neglecting it and the right that their children have and their spouses have upon them, by simply neglecting it, they think they're somehow drawing closer to Allah. Or by taking care of the obligation, financial burden, they think that it's running after the dunya. And they don't see it as fulfilling an obligation. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He talks about it in Surah Al-Jumu'ah, when it comes to إِذَا نُودِيَ لِلصَّلَاةِ يَوْمِ الْجُمْعَةِ فَاسْعَوْا إِلَى ذِكْرِ اللَّهِ. He mentions that first, that when you are called to the dhikr of Allah, remembrance of Allah, hurry up, meaning hastily, go perform your duties to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But then at the end He says that spread out and seek bounty of Allah. Right? The bounty of Allah here is rizq, which is provision, khayr, in another word in the Quran, mal. It's always used in positive terms. So this is what we're seeking. And obviously Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He tests us, sometimes by giving us wealth and sometimes giving us poverty. That is to recognize that. When the test comes, then we're patient, inshallah, and we seek patience from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But that is not to neglect our basic duties that we have. And why? Because finance, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has made this earth. And everything in it is to test us. لِنَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. How are you going to perform that test? But in the finance and that money matter is there for security, for peace of mind, for our own, the beautifying this life of this world. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says this, Al-malu wal-banun zinatul hayat ad-dunya. Right? Children and wealth, it beautifies the life of this world, the temporary life that you have for this. However, your priorities are not these two things, right? Our priorities, وَالْبَاقِيَاتُ الصَّالِحَاتُ, is to performing of good actions. That is our priority. So recognizing that by neglecting, the people make mistakes by neglecting their financial responsibilities, it simply adds stress to their families and to their lives. It's number one cause of divorce in this country. That's just statistics. And when people do that, they become a liability to their family and their community. And not to say that people's tests are different. Some people are perhaps in that test that Allah is testing them, and it's not of their own fault. But this is the rule of thumb, is that we take care of our responsibility that we have. Number two that I want to talk about, inshallah. So this is finance, inshallah. Do not neglect your finances, even Ramadan time. Right? The idea is not to come to the masjid and get fired from work. And then you come back here and the line for charities is vast. That's not the idea. The idea is to be good Muslim overall. Number two, relationships. I want to talk about that responsibility, inshallah. And all of us, I, myself, everybody, there's no perfection. We're always seeking for perfection. But we fall short, obviously. All of these things. But we have to strive how to treat people. And I just want to summarize this, inshallah. How to treat people. Look at the prophetic example of how he treated people. And people drew near him. Give me an example from the ahadith of the Prophet ﷺ where he commanded people to do things of his own accord. Do my laundry, take care of my food, bring in some fresh groceries. Where in the hadith that you would find all this? Build me a castle. I need some furniture for house. Can so-and-so, he's a carpenter, can he bring it in? Where did he find that? When they built the Masjid al-Nabawi, he was the first one, bringing rocks and putting it all together, the mud, right, the palm trees, and he was putting it all together with them. And they used to sing, and he used to sing along with them. So recognize that our Prophet ﷺ, he was somebody who was a humble being. And in our relationships, how to treat people, that's the first rule. That we have to be humble. Sometimes you have to put our egos down. And that's just the case. Whether it's the in-laws or friends or people at work, we have to just swallow that ego. Right? And that's what makes a Muslim. Right? You're able to overcome that. So how do we treat co-workers, teachers, neighbors, others who are on the periphery, right? They're not related directly to us. We treat them like family. And you would find that they would love you. How do you treat your extended family? Your cousins, your neighbors, your aunts and uncles, and the second cousin who comes your way, or somebody who shows up from Egypt and Pakistan, and you haven't seen them for 20 years, and you say, mashallah, you treat them like your best friend. Just like how you have, your best friend calls or to text you, you say, that's okay, no problem, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. That's okay, I could take that from this person. You treat your extended family as you would treat your best friend. And how do you treat your near family, the family, immediate family? We treat them like that they are on the same team. Right? A lot of times people have this idea of scolding their own teammates. Right? When you're on a team, mistakes will be made. And you have to play along. You have to keep moving forward. You don't stop and start criticizing one another. You don't see that on a good team. A good team, this mistake was made. Let's overcome. Let's plan ahead. Let's have a strategy how we're going to play. Move forward from here on this point. We have a weakness here at this defense, perhaps. The goalie isn't as good, but we're going to put more defensive players in the backfield. Okay, so we're going to have a plan for all of this, but it's the same team, and so we should treat our family that we see people every day, especially our spouses, in the best of manners, because that's what really determines a person of taqwa, a person of ihsan, and somebody else. And the Prophet ﷺ made it very clear that you say how the khayrukum li ahli. أنا خير لأهلي. The best of you are those who are best to their families, meaning immediate family. And when the Prophet said family, and when the Arabs say kayfa halukum, they say good, alhamdulillah, kayfa hal. You know, when they mention about the family, right? Ahlukum, it's your spouse and your children. That's family. So how do we treat them? So treat the family like a team, and they will love you. Treat your friends who are close to you the way you want to be treated. How we give names sometimes, praiseworthy or blameworthy. Treat your friends the way you want to be treated. And lastly, treat yourself like a role model, so others would emulate you. So they would look up to you, your children, your family members. And same thing goes for me, and this is just a nasiha, inshallah. So these are the two things that I wanted to mention to start off, inshallah. Finance and relationship. As we come near Ramadan, as many of you are in this mode of thinking, reflecting, where am I going? As the Quran says, أَيْنَ تَذْهَبُونَ إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا ذِكْرٌ لِلْعَالَمِينَ. Where are they going? This is just a dhikr, a reminder for the world. So we, inshallah, seek from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala His assistance in seeking all that which is good and avoiding that which is evil. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين. بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله والحمد لله. As we talked about our financial responsibility as Muslims, our responsibility to our relationships, our relatives, and our friends. And then I want to talk about what makes us a Muslim and what makes us grow in our Islam. It's the ilm, it's the knowledge. It's the seeking of that knowledge. Starting with Iqra, Bismi Rabbik, right? And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that. As He commanded the Prophet and us, read in the name of your Lord. And He told the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Qul Rabbi zidni ilma." This is the dua that the Prophet is being taught, that you should ask Allah that, "Oh Allah, increase me in knowledge." And so today I ask you, where do you stand in terms of your spiritual or religious knowledge of this deen, of this way of life? Where do you stand in terms of how to worship Allah, to understand how to worship Allah, to read the book of Allah, to perform the basics that are needed for you to be a Muslim? Where do you understand in terms of your understanding and your knowledge of this religion? Because knowledge is something, if one has it, then they have what's called the adab and akhlaq. That's how we built it. Adab and akhlaq, these are the fruits of the knowledge and taqwa a person has. If a person, you see that he's very ignorant and jahil, what they call, then it's because it's a simple decision that they have made about how to live their lives. And it's not a very pleasant decision that they have chosen for themselves. So knowledge of this deen. And briefly, I will simply mention you as a hint. You know, obviously after the Quran and a good understanding of the Quran, there are simply 5 hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that everybody should understand in depth as to what the Prophet ﷺ was teaching us. He's our teacher. What was he teaching us? What did he leave us with? Right? Because many times people give you this hadith on right or on left, whether people don't know it's sahih or hasan or da'if, mawdu', nobody knows, but they say, oh, the Prophet said. So, and then they derive everything out of it, where this hadith may not be appropriate for everybody. So we have to understand what the Prophet, so priority in terms of which hadith and which statements that he made in terms of our responsibilities of seeking knowledge. The 5 that I would mention very briefly, just as a hint, for better akhlaq inshallah and adab. Spread peace, afshu salam, if you know that hadith. وَأَطْعِمُوا الطَّعَامِ, feed people. وَصَلُّوا بِاللَّيْلِ وَالنَّاسُ نِيَامٌ, and when people are asleep, go worship God. تَدْخُلُوا الْجَنَّةَ بِالسَّلَامِ, you will enter in peace if you do these things. This the 3 wisdom that he gave to one of the Sahabi. اتَّقِ اللَّهَ حَيْثُمَا كُنْتَ, wherever you are, be God conscious. وَاتْبِعِ السَّيِّئَةَ الْحَسَنَةَ تَمْحُهَا, Follow a misdeed, a bad conduct with a good, it will wipe it off. Bad deed, follow it with a good deed, Allah will erase that, the bad deed. وَخَالِقِ النَّاسَ بِخُلُقٍ حَسَنٍ, and treat people well. Right? These are the fundamentals of our religion. And then he said, he also mentioned ad-dīnu nasiha. Religion is giving good counsel, sincerity to Allah. And then they said, to whom? He said, to Allah, His Messenger, His books, the people, the common Muslim folks, and their leaders, meaning give good counsel to them. And the hadith of Jibreel alayhi salam, where he talks about Jibreel alayhi salam comes, he asks them 3 questions. We all should know the answers. What is Islam? What is Iman? What is Ihsan? What is the answer to all these questions? These are fundamentals of our religion. These are the teachings of our beloved Prophet ﷺ that we should pay close attention to. And last but not least, which is neglected upon by many people, which really summarizes the teaching of, after Hadith Jibreel, the teaching of our Prophet ﷺ. And that is the Khutbatul Wada, the farewell sermon. He gave us in that one short khutbah the entire responsibility as a congregation that we have towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What we're going to be questioned about. We have to pay attention to these teachings of ours, of our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's what makes us Muslim, because you got to know them and then you have to perform. But if we don't know them, we can't perform accordingly. The khushu, the khudu, the taqwa, the adab, the akhlaq comes in, it flows after you have knowledge of these things. When people don't know what is right and what is wrong, what to do, how our Prophet ﷺ acted in certain situations, how are we going to do the best? When we don't know the example of the best, the role model, what he did in that situation. So it's imperative that we understand that education in our deen is important. That is one thing. It doesn't end with your a certain age or a birthday celebration of ours. It doesn't. It's a lifelong thing. And then the second last thing, inshallah, I'm going to talk about, and we talked about education and our responsibility, and Ramadan's coming, and how we're going to be better in terms of our understanding of the book of Allah, the Quran, the thing that we're supposed to recite and understand and act upon, is our spiritual goals, our religious goals. And deen is all about purification and making hereafter a priority. After performing all the manasik, all the fundamentals, all the worship, the acts, it's all about purification of our heart and purification so that when we reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we bring in qalbin salim, a sound heart, a good heart. It's not a putrid heart. It's not a heart that cheated people. It lied to others. It's not a heart that goes around telling things that are not true and causing trouble between people or spread rumors. It's a heart that is sound. It's a heart that is connected to Allah. It's a heart that you see the fruits of it in good adab and akhlaq. And the reason why this person does it, not just because they're good people, because they know they are responsible in the hereafter, what is coming. We're all going to be asked, and the basic driving force behind Fajr Salah and Zuhr and Asr and Maghrib and Isha and Ramadan and giving charity, taking care of your family, going to work, the basic driving force is the hereafter. Al-Yawm al-Hisab. Yawm al-Qiyamah. And the reason why, because certain people, they will be happy, and certain people, they would fail, and they will be doomed. And this is our chance to perform. So let's not neglect our responsibilities. And the last, inshallah, as Ramadan is coming, as I mentioned to you, we have a short period of time to perform, and our health is where it all starts. If we have good intentions, what we eat, how we exercise and physically are in good shape, inshallah, and the mental capacity that we have. It all affects our ibadah. If we eat too much, it reflects on our night prayers. If we are not in good health, we can't focus on our ibadah. So when we stand in front of Allah, we're so tired or we're so exhausted that we can't even remember what we're saying. That's when you don't gain the beauty of that relationship, the conversation with your Lord. It only comes when we are in good physical, mental capacity, inshallah. And these are challenges. Allah will test us with good health and bad health. But it's not that we simply neglect our responsibility to good health, to eating right, to performing at our best, inshallah. So with that, inshallah, I remind you and myself that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put all these responsibilities, and I've mentioned a few of them just to kind of gain your attention. Our financial responsibility, how we're taking care of things. We're going to be asked about certain things. Specifically, men of this ummah, men of this community. You do have a financial obligation above and beyond others within your family, within your household. Your relationship. Obviously, first relationship with our first relationship is with Allah. That's the priority. But how do we treat people beyond that relationship? Our education, knowledge, gaining ilm, our spiritual lives and setting goals and priorities, how we're becoming better Muslims. Not the same old Muslims getting older, but better Muslims in terms of our adab, in terms of our honoring people, in terms of upholding that which Islam teaches us. And then the last one that I mentioned to you is health, how we're health conscious people. We're not simply neglecting things and think, oh, these are the dunyawi goals. No, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has given us this, and He's going to be asking about how we perform our youth, right? In terms of young age, and in terms of our time. All these things are going to be questioned. So I seek from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala all that which is good, all that which is khayr. I seek Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He give us, inshallah, the tawfiq to be able to perform in accordance with what He has given, all these responsibilities, all that which makes Him pleased with us. رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. Oh Allah, give us the best in this life and in the hereafter, and save us and protect us from hellfire. رَبَّنَا هَبْ لَنَا مِنْ أَزْوَاجِنَا وَذُرِّيَّاتِنَا قُرَّةَ أَعْيُنٍ وَاجْعَلْنَا لِلْمُتَّقِينَ إِمَامًا. Oh Allah, give us the tranquility of our eyes and our hearts with our families, and make us leaders of those who follow. We seek from Allah, Rabbighfir warham wa anta khayrul rahimin, forgiveness and mercy, because surely He is the best of most forgiving. Rabbi zidni ilma, as the Prophet used to say, we seek the knowledge of this deen and understanding of this deen. Rabbana zalamna anfusana wa in lam taghfir lana wa tarhamna lanakunanna min al-khasirin. And in conclusion, we mentioned to Allah Azza wa Jalla that we have surely transgressed. We have fallen short of what You have commanded us. وَإِن لَمْ تَغْفِرْ لَنَا وَتَرْحَمْنَا. And if You do not forgive and show mercy, we're going to be people who are going to be losers in this life and the hereafter. We seek from Allah all that which is best. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وأقيموا الصلاة.